Autism sprinter, think equity, yeah. It's time to give the power back to the people. We're fighting to make our beliefs equal. Look at the failed policies and how they treat you. We got strength, yeah, we're far from feeble. This is for anyone with autism or a disability. Time to unite, show them how strong our will can be. Move readily, we're promoting equity. A non-profit platform, that's the recipe. Now throw your hands up, we finally got a winner. Think equity with Autism Sprinter. Now throw your hands up, we finally got a winner. Think equity with Autism Sprinter. It's time to make a change. It's time to stand up for what we believe in. Equality and equity across the board. No matter your race, nation, or creed, disability, or your needs. Yes, it gotta be equal. It gotta be right.
Good morning, guys. How are you? It's me, Jahada Lopez, founder of Autism Sprinter, and I'm here with some Sprinter parent ambassadors, parents who have a lot to say about what transpired yesterday with Boston Public Schools and the fiasco of getting children to and from school and the lack of communication that continues to happen on this issue every school year. And, you know, parents are always the last to find out information that they should know way before so that they can plan about, they should plan their day. You know, parents have jobs. Parents have multiple children that go to different schools. And we're just here with several parents who want to speak up about the issue that transpired yesterday and how it impacted families with disabilities and children who have IEP with an educational contract. And it's a legal document. And, you know, yesterday we failed many children with disabilities in our school system. Per usual, you know, students with disabilities are always left behind in the conversation. So here we are, guys. Yolanda's in the building. Leslie's in the building. You know, we're waiting for another person. I think she got disconnected. We got to get her connected again. So good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
How y'all feeling this morning?
Feeling a little better.
Good. Okay. So Leslie, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about you. How many children do you have? You know, I know that you have a son on the spectrum and you have other things. Like, tell us a little bit about you.
I have two boys on the spectrum. One's more severe than the other one. One's nonverbal, and they both have IEPs, and they both need bus monitors. And the school system was lacking a lot these past days. Both of them, one of them didn't come at all yesterday, and the other one came late, like half an hour late. And then today, none of them came. The bus drivers came at all.
So none. Did they communicate with you about that this morning?
No. I've been calling since 6:30 in the morning to prepare myself because I kind of figured something was going to happen today also. And they never picked up the phone until like 9:30. So basically all those hours I've been hold, or somebody clicks on me, or something happens. I did the tracking bus app. It didn't work. One worked for one child, then the other one just stopped working. Then I ended up getting the phone call. I stayed on the phone for a while, and then they picked up.
Thank you, guys.
They picked up, and then they told me that the bus went past my house. And she was like, I'm going to write it saying that he just passed your house. And that's basically it. And then I called yesterday, and they told me that they're low on drivers, monitors, and basically they don't have employees. And that's an issue, ongoing issue. I even called the news, and they told me that there's been hundreds and hundreds of phone calls for the same thing.
So T, what's up, boo? What's up?
Hey, I
I
heard
know
this.
you've always had a lot of beef with the school drive with the buses
Transportation.
and BTS.
It's so horrible. I heard the same thing that Leslie heard. I yesterday, I watched my son's school bus go from one school that they dropped the kids off to and completely go straight to the bus yard. And I
Mhm.
screenshot it, because if he's supposed to be at a certain time and he's not here, my son's bus is scheduled to pick him up at 8:46. At 9:06, that bus was at the schoolyard already. So I had to, and we live in Mattapan, and my son goes to school at the Kilmore, which is on the West Roxbury Dedham line, which is a hike. Okay.
Yeah.
And when I called this morning, I knew it was going to be a bus because it's the same thing every year. And the lady was
Right.
really nice on the phone with me who put in a complaint. She said that her son bus didn't come. And I asked her, realistically, would my son get a bus in the next 10 days? She said, if my son's bus needs a monitor, probably not. So now I'm stuck
Mhm.
Wow.
with, I have to, and that's not stuck with, that's my son. I'm going to do, but it just makes it a tad bit harder for me to, hold my job. It's very hard for me
Right.
to hold a job. And I work from home.
Mhm.
So, taking a break to be offline for an hour and a half, because it basically takes me about an hour and 15 minutes to drive there, pick them up, and drive back home. That's
But
lunchtime.
imagine for families, let's say for Leslie, let's say if you don't have a car.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Imagine since we redistricted and kids can go
yes,
to school in different communities and neighborhoods. So imagine how many buses you got to take to get to West Roxbury to the
yep,
Dedham line,
yes, yes,
and not including if you have kids in different schools that may not be on an IEP or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
How are families supposed to do that?
Well, and then even if they
Mhm.
can even get their child on the bus, some of us, don't have kids who function well on public transportations,
Right.
Yep.
and every time and now it seems like, and it's a constant. It's just not now. It's a constant. They always let our children down, and they're in pure violation of my son's IEP, because
Mhm.
now you're violating his education right, because not to be, I don't want to put my business out there, but my car has a big R sticker. I'm taking risk every day, and I just drive it to drive him to school, but that's a risk every day that I
Mhm.
don't want to take with my son. Here I am thinking he's going to have a school bus, and realistically now I know he's not going to have one for the next 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And I did call the mayor's hotline to make a complaint.
Mm,
Yep.
mm. Yolanda, talk
Yeah.
to us. 'Cause your
Okay.
experience yesterday was interesting too.
Yeah. So I have two boys that's on IEP. One is autistic, and then the other one has chromosomal duplication. And for those that don't know what chromosomal duplication is, it's a chromosome linked onto the last one, and it gives off all like disabilities. It can be linked to autism. It can he can have bipolarism, all those. So when he freaks out, like my youngest Isaiah, he freaks out whenever like there's he hears anything, especially if an adult is talking, he'll freak out. So my experience yesterday was I was um I was prepared for a no bus because this is the actual first time for both of my kids riding the bus in the afternoon because they're going to a different after school program. So one goes to the Curly, one goes to Mission Hill School. So, they were prepared to ride the bus. It's the first time that they're riding the bus. So they're all excited. And, I'm like, okay, the bus is going to come get you after school and I'll come get you after school. So what I experienced yesterday was just like horrible. So I got a call like 2:45. So Isaiah gets out of school at 3:30. I got a phone call like 2:45 saying that the bus HS 338 doesn't have a bus driver. So I was like, oh great. So I ended up calling transportation. No one answered. I called his school. No one answered. So then, before calling back the school, I called his para because he has a para that he had in the first grade. I called her and she didn't answer me right away. So when I called transportation, no one answered still. So I called back to school and I was asking them, I have my son Isaiah Shears. Is he on, is he still at the school? So whoever answered, they were like, oh, he's still here. A lot of parents had to come pick up their kids. I was like, well, my kid is going to an after school program. She was like, well, the lady was like, a lot of parents just came to get their kids. So I was like, do you think I should come get him? And she's like, I think maybe you should. So then she was like, oh, wait a minute. The bus is here. She was like, so he's on his way. And I was like, okay, good. So I hung up, being like very calm. My anxiety was high through the roof. So I was calm after that. So then his parent texted me back and was like, oh, Isaiah's not on the bus. He's sitting right here. And I was like, what? I was like, are you sure Isaiah's still at the school? I was like, because someone just told me that he got on the bus. And she was like, no. She was like, I just left. It was like past 4:00. She was like, I just left. She was like, and I just saw your son laughing up with one of his friends in the front office. So he's still in school. So me, before I jumped to any conclusions, I was like, let me call the school back. I called, some other guy answered, and I was like, I want to know if you have someone there by the name of Isaiah Shears, my son Isaiah Shears. Gave the bus number. He was like, Isaiah Shears, is there Isaiah Shears here? There was like, he says, yeah, he's sitting right here. So they put him on the phone. I talked to him. He's calm. I was like, what happened? Your bus didn't come. It's running late. I was like, you'll be there. You'll be up after school. So so I said, okay, let me speak back to, whoever it was. So he got back on the phone and I was like, I'm not hallucinating and I'm not making this up. Someone just told me that my son, his bus is here and he's on the bus on the way to the after school program. So he was like, okay, so they're trying to figure out how far the bus is, how far the bus is. So he was like, let me put you on speaker. He was really nice. He put me on speaker. So he was like, let me call you back in 2 minutes so I can find out. He called me back in 2 minutes. He was like, the bus is 8 minutes away. So as soon as he said that, someone popped up in the background and was like, oh, what I meant to tell her was the bus was a few minutes away. I said, you need to know the difference between a few minutes away and the child is on the bus. I was like, because I can't make it there in time. Like, suppose like I'm getting dressed and I get all the way down there and then my child is not there. I was like, that's the thing that I was upset about because.
And I want people to be clear. This is a conversation about special needs children.
Yes.
Children with IEPs, children with autism. I need people to understand that. And I want people to be clear of why this is problematic.
And I called my son's other school because I'm like, okay, let me make sure he got there. Okay. The secretary was like, oh, yes, CJ just left. She was like, he just got on the bus and she's on his way. She's like, thank you for, reaching out to the Curly to see where he's at. But it's because I didn't get a phone call for CJ, but I still made sure. Because like I said, like this is their first time really riding the bus to another after school program. Isaiah used to meet his brother before pandemic over at the Curly. So it was a short ride. But this is a ride from Jamaica Plain to Alston. I was not happy. I was like, you really need to know the difference between the child is on the bus and the bus being like a few minutes away or 8 minutes away. That should have never happened.
So there's a few things that are raising a red flag for me in your situation. So you have a child with autism.
Yep.
No service providers. They're after school because we all know how things work, right?
Yep.
People work a certain contractual hours. Y'all know how I get that. Contractual hours. So at a certain time, people leave the building, which means that there might have not been an ABA provider in the building. There wasn't a speech pathologist in the building, possibly. Not an OT specialist. So if your son was a bolter or anything of that nature, did they have someone there to help assist? If your child is like, listen, I know I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm gonna maybe I need to walk home by myself or run out of this building. Who was going to help assist in this situation if that were to happen, because many of our kids are bolters,
Yep.
wanderers. So while everybody checked out of their contractual agreement to the hours that they work in, you have secretaries who are now playing the role of ABA provider, OT, speech, principals, any additional staff, including our maintenance department, because we don't even give enough credit to our maintenance men and women, right? And our lunch mothers and lunch fathers, right? Now you're asking these individuals to step up to the plate and assist beyond what their role is supposed to be.
And this is the thing too. So we had a meet and greet for Isaiah School on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
The principal that's taking over for an incident that happened, principal that's taking over, she wasn't even at the meet and greet, so I don't even know who she is.
Oh wow.
The Mission Hill School is connected with the Munoz.
Yeah.
So that principal is, I guess, playing a role of the principal at the Mission Hill School for now. But I don't even know who she is. I haven't even met her.
So you got one principal.
They said that. Yeah, for that big building. So they said that she was there with Isaiah yesterday, but I don't know who she is. I didn't see her. I've never even heard of this lady. Like, at least with CJ School, they had a virtual meet and greet and went over COVID guidelines on Tuesday. Isaiah School didn't even go over COVID guidelines for Wednesday. They just had us all meet in a big open field, and we met the teachers. That's it.
See, that's probably.
I noticed this morning, so I was told that we can't even go inside the school to drop our kids inside the school. We have to wait. We have to just let them walk in. And as I was waiting for my lift today, because I had to do something, as I was waiting for my lift, I seen like 3 or 4 parents walking inside the school. I was like, okay, now I'm standing outside. I was told I can't even go in. But
so in a lift that you paid for, that, and that's a whole other conversation. Parents like you, T, that you guys are driving, right? You got to pay to get to and from the location. You got parents who her cars got an R on it, right? And they're still risking, because, you know, the frustrating part about this all is that sometimes as parents, we get labeled for everything under the sun besides being parents, right? That we're always asking for help and we're always complaining. But yet you have parents that are sitting here in this live telling you, I'm driving with an R on my car to make sure that my child with the special needs get to and from school, because I'm that dedicated that my child gets his education that he has a right to get. And nobody's saying, you know what do you need to help you get your car back on the road so you can pick up your babies to and from school. Oh, and let me guess, for parents who, some of us started new jobs because the world is opening back up, we got laid off, we're starting, jobs, we scheduled our start day on the same day that the kids start so we can get back into routine. Guess what? Now, for 2 weeks, like Leslie said, for 2 weeks, I don't have a schedule and I might be out of a job. Meanwhile, my unemployment got cut off, right? Let's keep it real, because these are real situations. Unemployment got cut off. And so how you going to be paying some bills when you got 2 weeks without transportation and no childcare to watch your child? And then for those that don't understand, when you have a special needs child, ain't too many people gonna step up and watch your kids.
Nope, because my own family members
understand. Ain't nobody gonna be like, sign me up.
Right.
And my husband made a good point yesterday. He said, you better save all those phone calls and those messages, because you know what? You know they're gonna call DCF. That's what they're gonna do.
Right.
Because they're sneaky like that.
Right. And that's another issue. You don't imagine if you didn't go pick up your kid. You're thinking your kid is on the bus, you're there, you're like, oh, everything's fine. And then it's 6 o'clock and you get a phone call like, hey, Ms. Shears, you didn't come pick up your kid. You know, they're sitting here with the Boston Police Department and the Department of Children and Families, and you're like, but nobody even called me. But then again, this is the issue that I have with systems. Systems are abusive.
Yeah.
They're abusive mentally, physically, and spiritually to parents. So imagine if she gets a phone call, the Department of Children and Families are contacting her because of a mistake that is not done by the parent, but by failed systems and communication to parents that's ongoing. The issue with Boston Public Schools and their bus transportation has been going on for over a decade now. How can we not get this together at the first week of school?
And I really feel bad now. Now I see what other parents are talking about, because my kids never rode the school bus. Like Isaiah, like I said, Isaiah rode the school bus right before the year before the pandemic, but that was from miles away from the Mission Hill School to the Curly. So that was just like a couple of like miles down the street. But this is actually from Jamaica Plain to Alston, both of them.
Jesus.
And Leslie, you too, because you kind of talked about it before we went live. So you have 3 children, different schools, and they're all across the city too, right?
Wow.
Yes.
And you have a school that's next to you that you don't even want to send your child to that school because you live in a direct path of methadone mile.
Yep.
Where you're afraid to send your child with a special need to their local school, which is easier for you to walk to and from, or probably easier to get there, than sending them to a school out of your community because you want to make sure your child don't get pricked by a needle.
Yes.
But nobody wants to talk about this, right? And kids in Orchard Gardens can't even play outside anyway. So it'll be difficult for a child with autism to attend Orchard Gardens when they can't even have recess outside.
How do they get mask time if they can't, to take their mask off and get fresh air? So they want them in school 8 hours, mask on, stale building, nothing.
Right. And that's the problem, guys. So, I don't know if you guys have any more to add. We need people who are viewing this to please share this live, tag all media outlets, because what happens oftentimes, and the reason why we're doing this live, is that the media gets involved and they concentrate on the issue as a whole, but constantly people with disabilities are left behind in these conversations. And I think people got to understand that our children have an individual educational plan, which is a legal abiding educational contract. This is not okay. Families should not be missing work, school, and be sitting at home like Leslie's going to be for the next 2 weeks with her children with no help, because they're not going to send the OT provider to the house. They're not going to send the ABA provider to the house. They're not going to send the speech pathologist to the house. And so then we're not mentioning how many kids already lost so many of their services during the pandemic and budget cuts. And many schools are struggling without having paras and, all these other providers. So now we're adding more of ensuring that kids continue to lose more help. But then we want parents to enroll, join us on CPAC, join us at a meeting. We're partners. We ain't partners, yo.
No.
We're in an abusive relationship with system.
Yes.
You guys are like abusers, and we can't even call the cops on you. We can't file a 51A on you. And you just beat us down, and then think that we're supposed to have a cool relationship. Like
then they harass you. Like CJ School, the special ed coordinator harassed me yesterday about where I'm living and all this other stuff. And I seen CJ at the Curly. So did this happen? I'm like, okay, like you call me out of the middle of the day. I'm resting. Now, mind you, I can't go to work because my knee is ruptured. My ACL is ruptured, so that's a permanent like disability right there. I can't even go back to work. Only work the weekends. So my kids are in school. I'm at home, and I'm trying to rest, and I'm getting a phone call 11 o'clock in the morning. I seen Charles in school. So So what's wrong? What's going on with your living situation? Why are you calling me? Like, I'm trying to relax.
Now you're the FBI.
The thing is, you've seen him in school. That's the thing. You've seen him in school. I brought him to school.
Yeah, he's healthy. He's happy.
Yeah, I got him to school. It was like almost 10 o'clock when I got him to school yesterday.
Oh, me
because
too.
because like the lift. So yesterday morning, the lift that I take, they wanted like $60 to take like early in the morning and get him to school by 8:30. I said no. I waited till that bad boy went down, all the way down to like 30 minutes.
My question
And then
is,
good thing I had a Lyft driver that took me to CJ school. He actually waited for me outside of the Curly, took me to Isaiah school, brought me all the way back home at no charge. So
that was nice.
Yeah, but they wanted like $60, like it's like 7:30 in the morning. I said I'm gonna wait till that thing go down.
But yeah, Jolanda, you're saying something that's important. If the schools, if Boston Public Schools knew that this was going to be a fiasco, anyone in a leadership role should say, all right, let me get some Uber codes and some Lyft codes out to families to pay for, whatever, half of the cost to get your child to school. That's what you call leadership. That's what you call investing. And you're letting me know that this is a mistake and we get it. We're in a global pandemic. Totally get it. But the least that you can do is show me that you care.
Yeah.
As a leader, that my child enters your school building to get their education. And that you respect me and validate me and my children that I'm leaving in your care to get their education.
And don't worry about where I'm living. Like this lady called me. It was like 11 in the morning. I'm like, she's like, oh hi, Miss Brown. I just saw Charles, but I mean, is your address updated? I'm like, lady, it's like 11 in the morning. Why are you bothering me about my address?
Yahara, if they would have just even, not even an Uber codes, if they even had just the common courtesy, just to let us know, like, it takes nothing to send out a mass message. We're experiencing a bus shortage.
They knew. They knew.
Bus coverage.
They just don't care.
It's simple. It's like, respect me and my child. Do something. Why do I have to hear about it on the news or on Facebook? The worst. I have a friend on my Facebook page. Her child is in a wheelchair. They send a regular bus. A regular bus. He's been in a wheelchair he's 13 all his life.
Wow.
But T, you're saying another issue. You're gonna sit here and tell me in the fancy world of technology that you do not have student's name, because everybody got a student name and everybody got a student ID number, that the children's name and ID doesn't have a specific code or something next to their ID number, or even included in their ID that would say if the child is a wheelchair-bound child, a child who's blind, deaf, a child who's a runner, a boater, or a child with autism, Down syndrome. You know what I mean? You're going to sit here and tell me in 2021 we haven't figured this out, and you're going to send, like, how disrespectful is that? But then people get mad when parents speak up. When people get mad when we question leadership. People get mad when we start filing complaints. We understand that working in a school system is not as easy as it is. Been there, done that, worked in it, and I get it. But there's no reason why in 2021 we're still struggling with the most basic thing is communication.
Right.
And we can't even get that together in 2021.
Nope.
It's crazy.
And so how about you, T? It's still going to be an issue? Like, what have you guys been getting phone calls? Have you guys been getting emails? Like, what is the latest update?
I haven't gotten any update, but what they told me when I called the transportation department, and he probably won't get a bus within the next 2 weeks because there's no monitor for him. She said if my child needs a monitor, and I said he needs a general monitor on the bus. Yes. No. And and this year maybe it's worse. Like maybe it's worse this year. Last year was the same. The transportation department, what is that? Trans Dev.
Mm-hmm.
It really, really is not the greatest. It's really, I don't know how they function. I don't know who's managing it. Maybe they need a whole new project manager.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And a lot of these bus monitors are not properly trained to work with our kids. Some of the bus drivers not properly trained to even identify a behavior issue and not being just mad and want to throw them off the bus, or they can't come on the bus because they don't have a monitor. I mean,
but T, you're saying more than enough right there.
Yep.
Let's keep it real, y'all. And y'all know how we get down at Autism Sprinter. We keep it all the way real. So you got bus drivers and bus monitor who do not
trained
have, outside of the specialized license that they need to have to drive school buses. We're talking about the lack of training and licensing for those who are driving children with special needs, such as autism, who are bolters, who are runners, who can get triggered, who may behave aggressively or have a meltdown. We're not even talking about that. So then it also makes sense why so many bus drivers are like, listen, you know what? I'm done with this job anyway. They don't pay me enough.
Yep.
To deal with what I'm doing. Because when I work for the school system, a lot happens on a bus, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside of being a special needs children, when you're on the large buses, there's fights to be happening on the bus.
Oh yeah.
A lot of sexual inappropriateness stuff happens on the bus. A lot of theft happens on the bus. And let me add, children who may have want to be cool, want to be whatever, that'll open the emergency doors at a stop sign, at a red light, jumping off the bus. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, this is not okay. And I see a comment here that I would love to see what you guys think. Stephanie says, our current mayor said that 80% attendance on the first day of school. Yeah, no thanks to the buses. Let's stay on topic. So yesterday, the mayor said that there was an 80% attendance. Do you guys think that's true?
No.
I don't believe it. I don't believe
No.
it because some kids still didn't even get. Some kids don't even have seats in there. I know a parent with a special needs child who does not have a seat in the same school she attended this last year. She doesn't have a seat. So where are these statistics coming from? I would love to see the data.
That's a lie. Mm-mm.
Let's see. Another comment. Stephanie says, paras have been promoted to teachers with very little experiences to meet the staffing needs. And so the quality of the education will be subpar as well. Right? 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 And these are things that nobody wants to talk about, but today we're talking about the buses. The buses needs to be fixed, y'all. So, close us out. Tell us one thing, all of you guys, what do you guys want to happen immediately? And keep it real. What needs to happen now? Not 24 hours later, nothing. Like, we need these buses on the road on Monday and these babies in these buildings because this is a violation of their free, appropriate public education and a violation of their special education, individual educational plan. So, T, I'll start with you. What you got to say and let them know. And,
honestly, as a parent and the transportation department, I would love to see them cut the funding, providing private transportation to the private schools and the charter schools. The charter schools and the private schools need to provide transportation for themselves, and Boston Public Schools need to put that money back into the Boston Transportation Department because our kids is lacking because we have kids going to these charter schools and these pilot schools, and they should have funding for, even private schools. I hear some private schools take advantage of Boston Transportation, Boston Public School Transportation.
Wow.
That is cutting us off. It is cutting us off to where is it that we're not being able to pay our bus drivers, our bus monitors properly. And that's why we have this issue. So until we can cut that old law that allows these people, allows private transportation and all these, I mean, you know what I'm saying, private schools and to utilize this, I think we're always going to fall behind because we're not putting money with us. We're not.
And I like that you said that because it's making me think that, you know, the ride is accessible for people with disabilities, right? So it takes you to and from appointments. So maybe we need to start having a statewide conversation about having mass health include dropping our children to and from school using ride, which
that'll
is
be good.
private transportation, right? It's smaller. Very small.
Yeah.
It's intimate. You know, you have phone numbers of the bus drivers because it's that intimate, right? Because I know that we have a few autism sprinter parents who have their children in ABA schools who actually get who have used access to the ride through Mass Health and get dropped off and picked up, and they've had a very good experience because they have the bus driver's numbers, they talk to them, they've developed a relationship. It's the same bus driver every single time. You ain't got to worry about the door opening. You're like, who are you?
How can I get that?
I want that.
Yeah.
Right. So Leslie, tell us what you want to tell the people. What do you want to tell them that they need to do?
I would like my kids to be in school and for them to have monitors like it says in the IEP. And hopefully that's done soon. I will be calling everybody else, like the mayor and everybody else, the news, and whoever else I need to do.
Don't let y'all state reps go without being addressed too, because you got city officials that represent you, and you also have state representatives and senators that represent you. Hold them accountable too, because they need to be held accountable. It's not just the city of Boston who's responsible for a lot of these things that are happening, because the state does a lot around the budget when it comes to education too. So we got to start holding them accountable too. And not just show up the first day of school and taking pictures and, you know, passing out pencils, you know, with, you know, whatever, but we got to do more than that. Yolanda, what do you got to say? What do you want people to know?
I think I would say for transportation to actually pick up the phone instead of having music, like elevator music on, that we're listening to our ear. Like actually pick up the phone, even if it's like for a minute and say, BPS, please hold, or, you know, pick up the phone and be like, I'll be with you in a short minute, you know, other than just having the parents stay on the phone. Because like I said yesterday, I couldn't get no answer and I called twice. So I would say maybe at least just at least pick up the phone. If they can't talk right then, just say BPS, please hold, not just play that elevator music, you know, and you're just sitting there.
Right. All right, guys. You know, you heard it here from parents. We're asking for your help to please share this live. We really need you to please tag the media. We need parents who have children with disabilities, who have a legal abiding educational contract called an individual educational plan. You know, in a 504, we're asking for your help to ensure that families that are here on this show and who are parent ambassadors, Autism Sprinter parent ambassadors who are leading the charge, because you see these parents here, these ain't the parents you want to play games with, because they're the ones that will email you and everybody else when things need to get addressed. And, you know, let's give our parents the respect that they deserve, and making sure that equity is more than just a soundbite when we're having conversations and you're running political campaigns and you're advocating. We need equity to be actually exercised in real life, like literally in real life. And so please tag all the media outlets, any reporters that you know. Let's get these parents on the news so they can speak about the special education bus driving fiasco that is happening. And let's get these bus drivers on the road. Something gotta happen, or they're gonna have to start paying parents to be home missing paychecks, okay, and missing whether they're all going to school, because some parents are in school too who can't even go to school. You know what I mean? And I don't know about y'all, but tuition in college, about that. So, you know, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. We we appreciate you guys. Please, you know, tag the media and share this live. All right, have a good day, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.
No problem. Love y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yahara's the
Autism sprinter. Think equity. Yeah. It's time to give the power back to the people. We're fighting to make our beliefs equal. Look at the failed policies and how they treat you. We got strength, yeah, we're far from feeble. This is for anyone with autism or a disability. Time to unite, show them how strong our will can be. Move readily, we're promoting equity. A non-profit platform, that's the recipe. Now throw your hands up, we finally got a winner. Think equity with Autism Sprinter. Now throw your hands up, we finally got a winner. Think equity with Autism Sprinter. It's time to make a change. It's time to stand up for what we believe in. Equality and equity across the board. No matter your race, nation, or creed, disability, or your needs. It gotta be equal. It gotta be right.